श्रीमती हरसिमरत कौर।
जो उठे हैं इनकलाबों के लिए वो अब ना सोएंगे ख्वाबों के लिए। जाग उठा है समुंदर नींद से, अब हवा भी बन चुकी तूफान है। देख खिड़की खोल के बाहर अभी खड़ा है सवाली हिंदुस्तान में सभी। भ्रष्ट सरकार, corrupt politicians, not serious about weeding out corruption, lacking in political will. These are the common refrains on the lips of every Indian today. I must admit that our conduct of the last few days has done nothing to remove this perception from the minds of the people. Neither have we been able to assess the extent of their anger, and nor have we been able to address their grievances. In fact, our rigid stand has only worked in a manner that has alienated them further and made them more firm in their resolve to make sure their demands are met at any cost and their protests do not fall on deaf ears. Madam, I believe that first of all we need to remember that we are sent here for the people. We have been sent here by the people. And just because we have reached here does not make us superior or smarter than those very people who have sent us here. Because not either one or any one of us would be here if we did not have those millions backing us. So now if those millions are making a demand, let that demand be right, let that demand be wrong. Why should we not voice that demand in this House and then use our parliamentary right to legislate such a law that will achieve the desired ends of their demand? But unfortunately, instead of doing that, what have we done in the last so many weeks? We have tried to use secrecy, deceit, mishandling, misconceptions have reigned supreme in the last few weeks to the extent that our people have totally lost faith that any politician here is even interested in weeding out corruption. In fact, they believe that we are the fountainheads that abet and encourage this very corruption. Ma'am, today we face a historic challenge because everything that we say today is going to send out a message to the people of our nation at a time when our credibility is at an all-time low. But more important than that, at the end of the debate, the law that we legislate is probably going to be our final chance to redeem ourselves in the eyes of the people and re-win their trust again. So, ma'am, I urge everybody over here that instead of just doing lip service, let our actions speak louder than our words today. Let's give in a time-bound manner, with a time limit and a date set, our strong commitment that a strong and precise and a decisive Lokpal bill will come into being, which will root out this cancer of corruption and restore the credibility that this parliament actually works honestly to deliver the promises to their people and to their demands. I salute Sri Anna Hazare and fervently appeal to him to end his fast. We all stand committed to what he is trying to eradicate. I especially admire him for his ideals and for awakening the sleeping conscience of this nation. His convictions are a source of inspiration to me that show that how you must stand on your beliefs when your beliefs are firm. While I fully support the spirit of his Jan Lokpal bill, and I hope that a clear and decisive mandate will emerge from this Lok Sabha today, I would also like to make a few suggestions, madam. Well, as the Jan Lokpal bill works effectively to punish the corrupt and to, in a way, deter corruption, but it comes into being after a complaint or a corruption is done. I think what is necessary today, equally important, is to not only just give timely and just punishment to the people who are doing corruption, but to address those areas and put into place important systems that breed this corruption. It is only when a government addresses those grey areas that lead and breed this corruption and addresses those, that is when we can enhance this by putting a Lokpal bill which will punish the corrupt and overall corruption can be rooted out. Today, the billion plus people of our country are not affected by the top level corruption. What affects them in their daily lives is when their daily citizen needs of needing a ration card, a gas connection, a water connection, admission in the school, electricity connection, when they have to go for these rights of theirs and they have to grease somebody's palm, pay a bribe to get these, that is what harasses them. That's why it is necessary that where the interaction with every police and bureaucrat in our administration is directly dependent on the amount of bribe that person lives, we must make sure that this need of the billion plus people is addressed. Why should I just say politician or bureaucrat? Today, be it an educationist, a lawyer, a doctor, every segment, business, tycoons, NGOs, media houses, any level, and there is corruption in each and every segment of our society. We cannot just pinpoint anyone because it is across all segments of our society, to the extent that even things, schemes like Indra Awas Yojana for the homeless or old age pension for the poor or even Narega, even things like this, they don't get their rights without a price. This is the extent to the corruption in our country. The corrupt get richer using their ill-gotten wealth to tweak the justice system to get judgments in their favor, to get favorable government contracts, to get admissions, to get their jobs, and they murder the entire system at the cost of the country. Madam, only if there is a strong political will to change the systems that breed corruption will there be a comprehensive way to end corruption. The governments that are, if the government is committed to rooting out corruption, it must first pinpoint all these grey areas and then take serious action in eradicating these interfaces which lead to corruption.
Please
Ma'am,
keep
I would like
quiet.
to give you an example.
Why
did the 2G scam or the CWG scam take place? It took place because the ministers and the bureaucrats had certain discretionary powers. They used these discretionary powers to tweak the things in such a way that a favored few could get the favors from them. And this led to momentous corruption. What needs to be done is the powers of these bureaucrats and ministers must be taken away so that these powers are not there which give rise to corruption. And I would be happy to let you know, ma'am, that in my state of Punjab, we have removed and eliminated all these processes where ministers and bureaucrats have the power to make these decisions. We have started a policy of e-tendering for all government tenders above the price of 5 lakhs, where anyone sitting anywhere in the world can bid for a scheme online without having to go to the minister or the bureaucrat to get a favor. This has eliminated the necessary interface between XCMs, bureaucrats and ministers. And the bids have become so competitive that we have almost saved 30% of the amount of the projects. Ma'am, on 15th August of this year, Punjab has implemented a Right to Service Act 2011, which makes civil servants and police accountable to the citizens of Punjab. There are 67 such services of the government related to revenue, housing, police, transport, all kinds of department, where the officer is liable to deliver the service in a limited time frame, and failing to do so, he has to not only just pay a penalty, be penalized, but he may be suspended and lose his job. Thus, making the officer, the bureaucracy accountable to the Aam Aadmi and making the Aam Aadmi the king of his rights and giving him his citizen rights. Small examples, if you would allow me, ma'am, because these are things which have been implemented which can be used for the rest of the country. Today, if you need permission for even using a loudspeaker, you have to go to the police. You have to make many trips, probably bribe someone. But in Punjab, you can sit online and apply for this permission and get it via your computer. If you need a driving license or registration of a vehicle, you have to go to DTOs and RTOs. But in Punjab, the place that you purchase your vehicle from, now that dealer can give you your registration. All rights of DTOs and RTOs have been taken away. If anyone wants to get his land records, he has to take umpteen number of trips to either the Tehsildar and the Patwari, and we all know how corrupt they are. In Punjab, we have computerized all land record so that any farmer, any landholder sitting in any part of the world can go online.
देखिए हम बहुत गंभीर विषय डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, प्लीज कृपया शांत रहें. आप वाइंड अप करें मैडम.
The point that I am getting to,
प्लीज वाइंड अप.
that first we need to identify the areas
Please wind
that
up now.
breed this corruption. Then we need to remove the interfaces that create this corruption. And after that, we need to bring in a strong Lokpal bill which punishes the corrupt. While I welcome the Jan Lokpal bill and the 3 points of the Citizens' Charter and the public grievances, and including the bureaucracy, is already part of our Right to Services Act, which has been implemented in Punjab. We already have the Lok Ayukta Act. The only few suggestions I would like to give for this Lokpal bill is that let the salaries of these employees be such that they do not need to do any more corruption in these times of inflation, and let the officers held guilty of misconduct or dishonest investigations be so severe, because with the powers that they are wielding, they are like super policemen, super bureaucrats, super prime minister, all rolled into one. And if they have such powers, then their standards of conduct must also reflect these powers and be severely dealt with.
Please conclude now.
Well, madam, just 2 minutes. So, I would suggest, madam, that if we don't make sure that the necessary checks and balances are put in place, we might end up creating another supreme executive authority of India that has such sweeping powers that they can search, seize, prosecute, trespass, and legislate decision-making and wielding their powers over judges, MPs, PMs, and the bureaucrats. And without the necessary checks and balances, they might end up being just another Frankenstein that we can't control. And then we will need a Mahalokpal to control this Jan Lokpal. So these checks and balances are very important. I also say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This Jan Lokpal bill may not address the problem 100%, but it is that single step for that long journey of rooting out this cancer. Let's take this step and do a great deed to start the end of this rampant corruption.
Okay, thank you so much.
With the words of my great guru,
Lalu Prasad ji.
Kabhu na daru, na daru also